Professor Vendrell, Professor Harland, thank you very much for being here tonight. My first question is, do either of you believe that there was any type of alternative to Resolution 1973 and the implementation of the responsibility to protect doctrine?
Oh yeah. I think it was most likely, in fact, that the United Nations Security Council would not act. When there is an opportunity to do the right thing and to do it in a timely moment and to succeed, it's a relatively rare occurrence in the international system that you get a good, solid, enabling decision to do it.
No, I agree. I think the British and the French managed to get the votes in the Security Council both for 1970 and 1973, the resolutions, in a very clever way, building up majorities and ensuring that there would be no vetoes.
Now, regarding responsibility to protect, are the use of force and regime change essentially inevitable in its implementation?
Well, not necessarily, but certainly not in theory. But let's look at a few cases. I mean, in Kampuchea, in Cambodia, the Vietnamese intervened, admittedly not for humanitarian reasons, but they did intervene to assume that the UN Security Council had authorized the intervention. Was there any possibility of stopping the semi-genocide that was happening in Cambodia without regime change? Would it have been possible in Rwanda to do the same without ensuring that the regime was changed, or at least the constitution in that case? So I think unavoidably there may well be many cases where it will end up, R2P will end up with regime change, but it's not necessary.
I agree, and I think there's also a military logic to it in many ways. I think that takes it almost immediately beyond its theoretical circumscriptions. I think once you have unleashed it and provided a mandate on the basis of it, it becomes fairly unrealistic to expect that it will both be circumscribed and successful in a situation like Libya.
Given the international community's role in Libyan regime change, what should or are likely to be the long-term obligations of the international community and the UN specifically with respect to peace building in Libya?
I think that's it's clear there is a China shop rule that having unleashed very powerful forces that have swept away the old regime, there is a very dangerous void there, and there is a society that could easily tip into chronic and sustained violence. And I think it's incumbent on all those who unleashed the original intervention to stay there. I think, frankly, it's not very useful if they stay there strongly out front, but I think they can start by doing no harm, not supporting this militia over that militia, this region over that region, and they can help behind the scenes to build some of the connective tissue of Libyan society. If they don't, we could have war.
The problem with the duties that really should arise as a result of having intervened, the problem is that media interest and government interest tends to wane once the military conflict is over. And particularly once elections take place in Libya, the chances are that the international community will begin to lose interest. Already there is far less interest at the moment in Libya than there is now because of Syria, because of competing issues that arise. And that is a real problem. How to keep governments interested, for example, in building the rule of law in Libya. It doesn't happen in one day. It's a progressive, it's a process of building up, for example, the judiciary. And that doesn't interest the media, doesn't interest really the power holders in governments.
Professors, thank you both very much.
Thank you.